Welcome to our continued edition of Politics Done Right. Right now, we are with Troy Dante Prestwood with the Prestwood Group, and he's an elected official here in D.C., in Washington, D.C. Now, right now there's a big issue as far as where D.C. is concerned. We always talk about not having representation, taxation without representation. I consider this one of the classic cases. Troy, welcome to Politics Done Right.
Thanks for having me.
Before we get started, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
So I'm Troy Dante Prestwood, fourth generation Washingtonian. I live in the Anacostia area where I represent the people there as an advisory neighborhood commissioner, chairman of the actual commission as well. I'm involved with our Democratic State Committee, and you know, everything that goes on in D.C., I try to be part of it,
Right.
including the fight for statehood.
Now, why statehood?
Well, you know, for 218 years, our congresswoman was here yesterday, and she,
Holmes,
yeah, Eleanor Holmes Norton,
Right.
who is a fantastic congresswoman
who can't vote?
who cannot vote on the House floor, but boy, she kicks ass in
Right.
terms of, you know, whipping up Democrats and Republicans to help support the needs of the district.
Right.
She says it this way, you know, for 218 years, the district has been without full voting representation. You know, as a people of, you know, Africa who came to this country and who were enslaved, we know a little bit about, you know, not having the vote, not
Right.
having the right to do as you want. And right now, what's happening in Congress is that they have full autonomy over us. We have none. They get to overturn our laws. They get to decide, you know, they get to decide how our funding goes. They also get to decide our fate. And
Right.
they don't get to do that for no other place in the country except Washington, D.C.
Right, right.
It's unfair, it's not right, and that's why statehood matters now.
And isn't it true that they can also overturn city council or any one of those?
Exactly. Our laws, which, you know, our council passed and the mayor signs, you know, out of support of the district, right? You know, district residents who want these laws or who are pushing for these laws. Well, if it makes its way up to Congress for a congressional review, they can decide if they want that law to go into effect or not.
Now, isn't it true that D.C. is more populous than some states in the United States?
Absolutely. So we're more populous. We have more of a population than two states, Wyoming and I know we're going to forget the second one.
One of the Dakotas, right? Doesn't matter,
It's,
but
it's the second one.
Yeah.
But I will say this: we're on parity with, like, you know, Dakota, one of the Dakotas, with Alaska, you know, with several other states. So our population, 702,000
Right.
residents. You know, it's the only place in the country where if you're from somewhere else and you move to D.C., you
lost.
lose your
Yeah.
rights in Congress.
Right.
Most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. And for those of us who live there, who have lived there all of our lives, like I said, I'm a fourth generation Washingtonian, well, imagine what we have dealt with for the past, you know, generation after generation after
Absolutely.
generation.
So what you're looking for is your one congressperson along with your two senators.
Precisely. Is what we're asking for is what every other state has, what every other citizen has. You know, just over the boundaries of D.C., you have Maryland, you have Virginia. Regardless of where you live in those states, you have two senators.
Right.
And the district that you live in, you have a representative in the House
Right.
of Representatives. We don't have that in D.C. So we have been disenfranchised for 218 years. And again, we believe now is the time to make that correction.
And you're not asking for anything anybody else doesn't have. In fact, what you're asking for is what everybody should have, the right to a vote.
Exactly. No, we're not asking for special rights. We're not asking, you know, to give us anything that no one else has. We're asking you to fully make us whole
Now
as
tell me,
Americans in this country.
what can Americans do to help you become a state?
I'm glad you asked that, because there's so many things that folks can do, everyday folks can do. For one, you can reach out to your representatives in Congress right now. You have a district representative, and you also have 2 senators. So you can reach out to all of them, reach out to everyone in your state who is part of the House of Representatives. Let them know that you believe what's happening with the residents of the District of Columbia, 702,000, is a travesty, it's an injustice, and it's about time that we make a correction on that. And so I believe that this is the time to do that, so they can do that for one. Secondly, on July 24th, we are having a historic hearing in the House with our Congresswoman, our fierce leader on the Hill. She is pushing for the Washington, D.C. Admissions Act. It's the way that many states have become states in this country. And we're going to have a hearing on this on July 24th. And so, you know, people can come to that hearing. They can tweet about that hearing.
They can get it on C-SPAN.
They can, you know, tell others about that hearing. Follow the hearing. Follow the hashtags. Show up the number 4 DC or hashtag DC Statehood. They can get engaged and get involved in this fight, because we believe that this is existential at this point.
Do you have a website?
So you can go to dcvote.org. On that site, you'll learn more about everything I'm telling you in terms of, you know, what the history has been, but also what people can do now, how they can get engaged, how they can get involved. We believe, especially at an event like Netroots, there's a lot of people here who are progressive, who believe that our cause is their cause. And so if they're looking for ways to get engaged, the website has a lot of information that will show them how they can do it.
Troy Dante Prestwood. Very important work.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you
for what you're doing on the ground. That is
I appreciate it.
how we make things
Thank
happen.
you. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank
Absolutely.
you to your listeners and your viewers for listening as well.
Absolutely. You have a wonderful day.
All right.